on behalf of the five-time world champion Dallas Cowboys.
It's my team. It's my quarterback.
Zeke who?
Got in trouble. Everybody got set. Sean Lee. Was basically the division on the line. The 14-yard line. Back formation. Elliott. Prescott wide open. Touchdown. Plays out Charlotte. Elliott. How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
Thank you guys for joining me this morning on an episode of Bluff City Cowboys. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. I see we got quite a few people coming in this morning. So, guys, get in the comments and let me know that you're here so that I can shout you out and we can represent these Cowboys today. And for everybody who's here right now, make sure you like this video. Also, make sure that you share it to your personal page. Share it to your favorite page. Got a lot of good statistics to give out. I consider myself a bit of a football nerd, so I'm always kind of looking at things and optics and trying to see what makes sense when it comes to certain topics that I see within the Facebook groups quite often. What's up, Mendoza? Thank you for joining us this morning. Eric Berger, appreciate your support as well. I know you guys have been asking me for literally months to start going live and talking about stuff, but life just gets in the way. And quite often, Jeff, thank you for joining. Dominique, appreciate you as well. I see you on vacation with the family, so definitely appreciate you ducking your head in for a minute and see what I got to talk about. So like I was saying, pretty much every week on the Cowboy Zone, I tell you guys I'm going to go live with something, and something or another happens and I can't go live. But today I had some free time. Got my COVID shot. If you guys haven't, I suggest you do so as well. If not for yourself, do it for your loved ones. So I was expecting to have some side effects based off of what everybody told me. And I got my shot yesterday. I had no side effects. So I basically cleared my entire Friday and Saturday for nothing. And since I had some free time, I said, you know what, let me just go through the different groups and kind of see what's kind of standing out in terms of trends. And the main thing that stood out to me lately, and I've talked about this quite a bit, is people talking about this guy's a first round pick and this guy's a second round pick and this guy won't be there at 44, 75, etc. So again, it's everybody's opinion. But I feel like the best way to judge it in terms of metrics is to look at the history of the draft. So I decided to take a deep look inside the past 5 years of the NFL draft just to see if I noticed any trends in terms of who's drafted and when they're drafted and position by position. I didn't want to go back too far because, as you guys know, this is a not for long type league. So trends and schemes and things like that change overnight. I felt like 5 years gave me a pretty good look at what I think can happen, but it's not too far back to where it's outdated. So let's start off and let's hop right into it. And again, I see I got quite a few people watching. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you share this. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this. Make sure you follow me on all social medias. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, I got my Bluff City Cowboys on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Bluff Cowboys on Twitter. So let's go ahead and hop into it real quick. I'll try not to hold you guys long because I know it's a Saturday and you all have things to do. And I just want to step in here for a few minutes, get a few things off my chest while I have the opportunity to do so. All right. So, like I said before, and West Coast, man, you know, whenever you need me, just hit me up. Definitely. Whatever you need, I got you. So, I went back and looked at the past 5 years of the draft, and I put together this chart, and I noticed a lot of interesting stuff when I started to really break it down. First of all, let's just start at the top. In the past 5 years, in the first 2 rounds, there's only been 24 quarterbacks taken. And if you kind of look down this list, you see that's pretty much bottom half in terms of position by position, with the pass rushers being pretty high, cornerbacks, linebackers, defensive tackles. So I looked at quarterbacks, and first 2 rounds, 24 total quarterbacks. That sounds really low. That's less than 5 quarterbacks a year in the first 2 rounds. But then I dug into it even deeper, and I looked at this. Of the 24 total, 20 of them were taken in the first round. So I know everybody's enamored with quarterbacks every year, but it's not as many quarterbacks taken as people think. Now, this number is pretty high, which suggests that there's going to be about 4 to 5 quarterbacks taken every year in the first round. But when you dig deeper into the quarterback room, you'll notice that 5 quarterbacks in the top 10 is a rarity. I think I had to go all the way back to the Cam Newton draft to reach 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round or the first 10 picks. And just to kind of backtrack a little bit, because I know we all get caught up in draft fever and quarterback hype, and you see people talking about David Mills might be a first round pick. Mac Jones may go in the top 10. Let's take off the 2021 hats for a minute and think back to prior years. Let's go back to 2020. There was a quarterback named Jordan Love. People were calling him the next Aaron Rodgers. People were calling him the next Patrick Mahomes. People were saying he may go higher than Tua. Where did he end up going? He went in the 20s. He's been hyped up way more than some of the quarterbacks we're looking at right now. Let's go back to 2019. We got Dwayne Haskins. Again, let's take our 2021 hats off, looking at where he is right now. Let's look at where he was in 2019, coming out of Ohio State. I think he had like a 39-3 touchdown to interception ratio. They looked like they were playing pass scale against every team they played. People thought he was going to be the next chosen one. He ended up going 15. And there were only 2 quarterbacks taken in the top 10 that year. Let's go back to 2018. Now, 2018 was kind of an anomaly. There were 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 10. But if you go back and look at that draft, 2 of those quarterbacks were Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold. And they're not even on the same team they were on in that draft. Let me catch up with some of these comments. I see you guys been putting quite a few comments in. Mendoza says chilling in the rain. Like I said, West Coast, appreciate you ducking your head in and joining us for a few minutes. Man, whatever you need, I got you. Joe, hadn't seen you in a while, man. Thank you for tuning in all the way from Italy. I know it's quite a bit of time difference, so thank you for taking a few minutes to check out what I got going. And let's see, the one kicker. I appreciate that, West Coast, man. That means a lot because I know you kind of a vet in the game, and for you to check me out, that really means a lot to me. And Mendoza, appreciate the love, man. I try to do as best I can to give you guys good content, and I'm glad to see that a few of you guys are really supporting me and enjoying what I'm doing. So now that's pretty much all I got with quarterbacks. I'm going to put another chart up here that kind of goes through year by year so we can see a breakdown of all the years. Another thing that stood out to me when I looked at this, of course, the corners and the defensive ends, those positions have been the most taken positions in the past 5 years. And it's not even close. And wide receivers as well. Those 3 are in the 50s. The next closest one is in the 30s. So we talk about all the great linebackers and stuff like that. There are a lot of great corners in this draft. A lot of them are going to be taken pretty early based off of this chart. So you see 54 that's roughly 10 corners that'll probably come off the board within the first 2 rounds. So look at your top 10. Tell me who you like. And if you hope a guy falls to the third, it's probably not going to happen. Defensive end, outside linebacker. Now, people look at this draft and say it's a weak draft. This isn't the only weak defensive end draft that we've seen in the past 5 years. We can go back to 2017. That wasn't a particularly good draft as well. But defensive ends, outside linebackers, pass rusher guys, they consistently come off the board at about 5 to 6 guys in the first round every year. So you guys know how I feel about Greg Rousseau. You know how I feel about Kwity Paye. Those guys are going to be first rounders, and they may go pretty early. And we talk about a guy I really love, Carlos Basham. People saying he might go in a second. Pass rushers go early. Jalen Phillips from Miami. People think he's kind of getting pushed to the back burner because of Rousseau. Based off this chart, that's not the case. And then you talk about the kid out of Penn State with the ridiculous 4.3 40. Guys like that, they're going to go first round. And they're going to push back a lot of players in the second who we think aren't going to be there. Oh, I'm talking about Ojulari, the defensive end / outside linebacker Mendoza. That's the kid that ran the ridiculous 40, and people are saying he may get pushed into the first. If you look at trends, he's almost definitely a first-round pick just because they value that position. And then we talk about the wide receivers. Of course, we got quite a few talented wide receivers in this year's draft. We pretty much know who the top 5 are. Top 5 are going to go pretty far in the first round. It may be 1 or 2 more that come into the first round that we don't expect. And just another thing on this one, looking at the second round, we talk about linebackers, defensive linemen may not be there. The second round is also a sweet spot for the receivers and the corner as well. And then we go down a little bit lower and we look at this safety position right here. And I'm going to get into this one a little bit more in a few minutes as well. But as you can see, everybody talking about, well, my favorite safety may not be there at 44. Over the past 5 years, there's only been an average of 2 safeties taken in the first round. And I talked about this before. Everybody thinks, and thank you for the phonetics, Dominique, Mayrig. I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. People think Mayrig is a slam dunk first round pick. If he's not top 5 on somebody's board, he may not be. People talk about Richie Grant, slam dunk. There's only going to be 2 probably. Those could be the 2. So whoever your third safety is, he might be there at 44. And let me go to another chart real quick while I'm on that topic so I can talk about this safety position. So I went back and looked at all the safeties, and I made a chart to kind of show how many went on a year-by-year basis. So we'll just start off at 2015. We'll go through it real quick. So I put all 3 positions that people are kind of thinking won't be there for us. So let's look at 2015. As you guys can see, there were only 2 safeties taken before pick 44. And the first one wasn't taken until the 30th pick. So again, there weren't a bunch of safeties that flew off the board. Now let's go to 2016. I'll try to go through these a little bit quicker. All right, 2016. Once again, there were only 2 safeties taken before pick 44. And they were both strong safeties. Carl Joseph, Keanu Neal, which we just signed as a linebacker. 2017. Now, this was one of those anomaly drafts where there were 6 safeties taken before pick 44. Now, again, let me go back to my other chart, talk about this real quick. Talk about the draft history. Look at safety right here. 32 total taken in the last 5 years. 32 total. Now let's go back to 2017 again. Of those 32, 10 of them were taken in this draft alone. So this was just an extremely deep draft for safeties. And you guys see all the names. Jamal Adams, one of the highest paid. Buda Baker, one of the highest paid. Marcus May, very talented. Marcus Williams. Jabril Peppers hasn't lived up to the hype. Malik Hooker, he's been injured, but highly respected guy. This was just one of those elite safety drafts. Outside of this, we go check on 2018. We go right back. Status quo. You got 3 safeties taken in the first 44 picks. 2019. Again, only 2 safeties taken in the first 44. And while I'm at that one, remember all the talk about Warren Thornhill? Everybody loved him. He went after 44. So whoever your third safety is, he might be there. So don't be too discouraged about that. Joe asked the question, which DT do you like? Let me pull up the DT chart real quick, and these are in no particular order. I just want to make a list of all the guys. So this is pretty much the list of top defensive tackles everybody's looking at. On this list, I'm kind of in the minority. Jay Tufele is my favorite defensive tackle in this draft this year. He gives you pass rush. He plays the run well. And unlike the other D tackles in this draft, and people, you can agree or disagree with me with this if you feel the need to, he understands the ability to get to his spot better than these other D tackles do already. Now, what I mean by that is, if he's getting double teamed and the play is going to the right, he understands how to manipulate and maneuver himself to flow towards the play. He's not the type of guy who he's going to pop off the line and just push a guy straight back and leave a run lane gap. That's something that people don't talk about with D tackles, but he does it well. He doesn't leave a back. He doesn't leave a area for a running back to be able to cut back in. All right. And Eric Berger, I was about to talk about this as well. This is another misconception that I noticed that really stood out to me when you go to safeties, because I used to always tell people the first round is reserved for free safeties. And when I go back and look at my charts, pretty much every year, these are strong safety guys who are going in the first. Derwin James is a strong safety guy. Terrell Edmonds is a strong safety guy back in 2018. Go to 2019 and check it out. Darnell Savage is a free. He's actually playing strong now, so that's another strong safety. Jonathan Abram, strong safety. And again, only 2 safeties taken before the first 44 picks. And then we go to last year. 3 safeties taken, first 44 picks. Strong safety, strong safety. We don't know what Grant Delpit is because he hasn't really played, but I'm assuming he's a strong safety. So I had to kind of eat a little crow on this one myself, because I always tell people free safeties going to first. History says that's not the case. So if you like Richie Grant and you think he's a true free safety, history says there's a good chance that he may be there. You talk about Ardarius Washington, which a lot of us love. People think he's the best free safety in the draft, regardless of his size. History says he may be there at 44. He should be. You talk about any other safety you like. Strong safeties come off the board a little bit quicker than we expect. All right, let me go back to the chart in terms of the total in draft history. And guys, keep bringing these great comments in. I appreciate that. Yeah, Dominic, you know how I feel about Tufele. That's my guy. All right, so again, we talked about corner. We talked about safety. Another position, linebacker. So we look at linebacker. 33 taken total. only 16 in the first round. So that means on average, about 4 linebackers taken in the first round. Now, I know people talk about how great the linebacker room is right now. We got to pump the brakes on that a little bit because there's only 32 spots. And history suggests these pass rushers are gonna leapfrog some people. These wide receivers are gonna leapfrog some people. And these corners are gonna leapfrog some people. So we may be sitting at pick 44, and one of these number 4, number 5, number 6 linebackers we really like, they may be there for us. So let me go back again, go back to the history, past 5 years, start back at 2015. Now we go back 2015, as you can see, we got 4 linebackers taken within the first 44 picks, not the first round. Not the first round, the first 44 picks. The first linebacker wasn't taken until pick 25. Go to 2016. 5 linebackers taken. Again, this isn't first round. This is the top 44 picks. And let's look at these names real quick. The first linebacker taken wasn't even taken until pick 20. All these other guys were second round picks. So we talk about Joker, we talk about Parsons. Those guys are probably pretty much locks to be first rounders. But Zaven Collins, Nick Bolton, who's the other linebacker? Jameer Davis that everybody's kind of hopping on the hype train with right now. There's no guarantee those guys go first round. There's no guarantee they won't be there by 44. History showing us these guys fall. And talented guys can fall to us in the second. And Dominique makes a great point. Rounds 2 and 3 are excellent for linebacker, running back, and wide receiver. Definitely linebacker, because like I just said, there aren't many that go in the first. Running back, there definitely aren't many that go in the first. And Dominique summing it up really well right here. Go get your quarterback in OT round 1 because most of them leave in the first, and the well runs dry on offensive linemen very quickly in the first round. All right, let me go through the other 3 years really quick. All right, we go to 2017. 3 linebackers taken before pick 44. Now this one, all 3 linebackers were first rounders. There were no second round linebackers taken between 33 and 44. So again, guys are gonna fall. 2018, this was one of those anomaly years. You got 5 linebackers taken. But again, Roquan Smith went high, Van Der Esch and Edmonds, and then Rashad Lewis. And I think Leonard was like pick 42, 43. So he was right there. So if there's a guy you really like at 44 and we have to use a 5th rounder to trade up 2 or 3 spots, we might get Zaven Collins at 41. We might get Nick Bolton at 41. And all it cost us is a 5th round pick to move up to get him. So don't feel too bad and think there's no chance of us getting any of these top linebackers we like. And Mendoza talks about Browning, 44. History shows, going back to the history chart, history shows roughly 6 quarterbacks go in the first 2 rounds. So if you have Baring Browning closer to the back end of your top 10, he might be there in the 3rd. You just don't know. It just really depends. But that 2nd round, we should be able to get a guy we like. Buddha, thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate it. Everything you're doing over the Boss Cowboy, keep up the good work. And Joe brings the point up, people saying we should take Pitts. He thinks we should take an offensive lineman or a DT. Well, history shows we could probably wait on DT. Now, offensive lineman, if you really like one, especially at the tackle position, you may want to go ahead and get him. But thanks for bringing me to this point. We talk about guards, because if we look at this team, as much as people have kind of a lightning rod against Connor Williams, he's in the last year of his deal, so he could be resigned, he could be gone. We don't know what Connor McGovern is. Let's look at guards in the history of the league. The past 2 years, 14 guards taken total. Most of them go off the board in the second. So that means only 4 are taken in the first. So in the past 5 years, on average, 1 guard per year, less than a guard a year is taken, and 2 guards a year are taken in the second. What that tells me is, if there's a guard I like and he's considered a top 5 guard, he might be there at 70, 75 for us. Let me go to the guard list real quick. And Eric Berger says Cowboys don't value DT or safety that high. According to the statistics, the rest of the league really doesn't value them that high either, though. So we can't just put it as a Cowboys only thing, which is one of those misconceptions that we have. The rest of the league doesn't really value defensive tackle and safety as much as we think, at least in terms of first-round talent. Now, somebody brought up about guards, and then I'm going to go to defensive tackles because something very interesting stood out to me on that one. That was another misconception that I had personally that I found out I was wrong about based on past events. So let me swing over to the guard position really quick. I don't think I put guards on here. I have to come back to that one in. So I'll move ahead to what we just talked about in terms of defensive tackles. And let me pull up this chart really quick. When I looked at defensive tackles, I noticed that, and guys, let me know if you can't see this or not. I'll try to zoom in as best I can. But if you guys can follow me on this very bottom row, actually, I can go back to where I was and show you guys this. So give me 1 second while I pull up what I just had. And again, guys, keep the comments coming. Make sure you like this. Make sure you share it. If you're watching on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure that you go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bluff City Cowboys. I'm going to try to do more stuff like this in the future as much as I can, because I do a lot of this stuff and I never really get to it to show it to you guys. So now I was talking about defensive tackle, and let's go to this bottom part right here, because I was looking at the defensive tackles. Appreciate that, Buddha. I had a lot of free time, and I love stuff like this. I call myself the football nerd, so I take a lot of pride in looking up statistics and stuff like that. But I tried to make it a little bit prettier and put it on these charts. So we talk about defensive tackles. Let's go through real quick of the history. 2015, big fat one tech, big fat one tech, big fat one tech. Let's go to 2016. See if we know it's a trend. Sheldon Rankins, one tech. Kenny Clark, nose tackle. Kim Dichie, nose tackle. Vernon Butler, nose tackle. Chris Jones, nose tackle. Austin Johnson, defensive tackle, one tech. This was really eye-opening for me when I went back and looked at this, because I've always told people the big 3 techs are the ones that go first. Now we go to 2017. There was only 1 defensive tackle taken before pick 44. Malik McDowell was a 3 tech that flamed out. This was the only defensive tackle. He was a 3 tech. That was very interesting, and he was a flame out guy, pure potential. We go to 2018. These are the picks before pick 44. Vita Vea, nose tackle. Deron Payne, nose tackle. Harrison Bryan, nose tackle. 2019. I skipped Tristan Hill, but Eric Berger, sorry. Yeah, I skipped him on this one. And did he go before 44? I thought he was like the 46th pick, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull it up really quick. Tristan Hill was the 58th overall pick, Eric Berger. So I only wanted to go up to pick 44 just to let people see that based on the history of the league, that 44th pick has some talent that's going to be available for us. So let's look at 2019. Quinnen Williams. He's playing a nose tackle spot right now. Eric Oliver's a 3-tech. Justin Simmons is a nose. Christian Wilkinson is a nose. Jerry Tillery is more of a 3-tech. Dexter Lawrence is a nose. So they have 6 of them. Only 4 are considered 3-techs. And then we go to last year's draft. Nose tackle, nose tackle, nose tackle. So when I looked at this, I was extremely shocked that 3-techs don't go in the first round like we thought. So we go to the defensive tackle grouping again, and we look at some of these top tackles. So as much as I like a guy like Jay Tufele, he might go first round based off history. Marlon Tuipulotu, he probably won't go first, but seeing as he's one of the D tackle, nose tackle groupings, he might go higher than people think. So if people like a Levi Onwuzurike, he might be there at 44. Davion Nixon is considered more of a 3-tech. People really like him. He might be there at 44, and people think he won't be. Marvin Wilson, depending on where you think he goes. People have him kind of a 3rd rounder right now. If he's considered more 3-tech, that's probably accurate based off statistics. Tyler Shelvin is an interesting name. People talk about he may have eaten himself out of the first 2 days. History shows the big fat nose tackles go higher than people think. So Tyler Shelvin, people are kind of projecting him to be a 3rd round pick for us. He might be gone by 44. Same thing with Tommy Togiai. Had a great pro day. Super strong guy, high effort guy. He may be one of those surprising day 1 or early to mid 2nd round picks. That's my mistake, Jack Meeker. I did leave Aleem McNeil off. But he definitely will be in this grouping. And since you bring that name up, Aleem McNeil, people are saying he may be there in a second. History shows nose tackles go early. And if he's considered one of the top 3 nose tackles, he more than likely will be a 1st round pick based off of projections. And Dominique makes the point, many of these guys are so gifted they can play 0 through 5 and not skip a beat. The nose and 1 only guys go later. And the pure 3 guys go earlier than them. But yeah, history of the draft really points out a lot of stuff that made me kind of open my eyes to some stuff. And Joe brings up the point. That's why I think we should trade down and get an extra second, because there's going to be some good defensive players. And I agree with that 100%. And looking at this chart, when I go back and talk about the history of the draft and how many of these positions go in the first, there may be a guy at pass rusher that somebody really likes and they want to get him. They may trade up with us. There may be a receiver. These are some of these groupings that people don't talk about that go 1st round quite a bit. People don't think about them. All right, guys. So let me know in the comments, is there another position group in here that you want me to talk about really quick? Anything stand out to you guys that you didn't really kind of think about before in terms of past 5 years, where these guys go, what positions get drafted, things like that? And J Tuck, thank you for joining us, man. Congratulations on your 1,000 subscribers. It couldn't have happened to a better guy. You really been putting in the work, and I'm really proud of you, man. And I'm just great. I'm just glad to see your growth. And Charles Moffitt, he just started a podcast a couple weeks ago. So make sure you guys go check him out as well. He's doing some good work over there. And he's saying a lot of these guys can do both. Now, we say a lot of these guys can do both. But then when I go back to my chart where I pull it up, some of these guys are pure nose tackles. Like Malcolm Brown could probably do both, but Goldman and Shelton, those are pure nose tackles. Go to 2016. Okay. Some of these guys can do both. Kim Dichie, we don't know what he can do. But I think Rankins and Clark are more noses. Vernon Butler. Jones could probably be a 1-3. Austin Johnson's a pure nose. But yeah, this D tackle group was very interesting, very eye-opening for me. And again, Vita Vea's pure nose. Deron Payne is a pure nose. Harrison Bryant is a pure nose. So these big guys go off the board pretty quick. All right, let me see what else I got for us. So we talked about the corner position, and we talking about at pick 44. So going back to my top NFL history past 5 years, we see a lot of these corners going off the board pretty quickly. So on average, roughly, we'll call it 5 corners go first round roughly. And then the second round, it starts to explode. And a lot of these guys come off the board pretty quick. So let's assume by the time we get to pick 44, there may be 8 corners off the board. So I just put up a list of some of the top corners in the draft. So guys, do your own numbers, do your own rankings. Whoever you have after about pick number 7, your 7th ranked corner, if he's there at 44, you might want to take him if you don't take one in the first, because there's a chance he's not falling to the third round. All right, let's go to the linebacker group, because like I just talked about, linebackers don't go in the draft as high as people think. We just talked about the history. There's only one occurrence where 5 linebackers went before pick 44. So we look at the names that we all know: Parsons, Joker. We know those guys are locks. But then you look at the Zaven Collins, the Nick Boltons, Baron Browning, Jamin Davis, guys that people are really high on. They're saying there's no way those guys are available to us. History says otherwise. So don't be surprised to see one of these guys fall to us at 44. Now, Charlie disagrees with me on Vita Vea. He says his size says true nose, but his play shows he can do both. I would have to agree to disagree with you on that one, but there's nothing wrong with being in disagreement. I mean, you're a knowledgeable fan, so I definitely respect your position, but I just feel he's a pure nose. And Jaquez, thank you for joining. I saw on Facebook you said you're going to take a bit of a sabbatical today, so I appreciate you ducking your head in as well and checking us out for a few minutes. And you make a great point. Some of the best linebackers win the second round and later, and linebackers turn into the running back of defense. And history supports you as well, because like I just went through, a lot of these linebackers in most drafts didn't even come off the board for the first time until the 20s. And even with that, there were only 3 taken before pick 44. So there's going to be a guy there we really like at linebacker, and I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. All right, let's go to another position group. We talked about safeties. Now, again, like I said before, based off the chart, there's normally about 2 to 3 guys that go before pick 44. And history has really shown that more times than not, that guy's a strong safety. So we look at Trayvon Mayrig. He may be a first rounder. Javon Holland, people really like him. He could be the second linebacker off the board. I mean, the second safety off the board. So now we're sitting at pick 44, and people feel like Richard Grant may not be there, but history says he may be there. Paris Ford, people still like him. Hamza Nasruddin, he's not getting a lot of talk right now, but he's a true strong safety. And history shows those strong safeties come off the board a little bit quicker than those free safeties. So don't be shocked to see his name going before pick 44 and pushing back one of those safeties that we really like for this team. I assume you mean Zaven Collins, J Tuck. Again, you just don't know. One of these guys statistically is going to fall to us at linebacker at 44. We just have to hope the Cowboys are the type of team who value that position enough to take them high in this year's draft. All right, so offensive tackles. We talk about the usual suspects. Now, again, going back to the history of the draft over the past 5 years, these tackles come off the board pretty fast. As you can see, on the average, it's about 5 that come off the board a year in the first round. So we go back to the top tackles again. Take a look at that. That's defensive tackles, my mistake. Go to the offensive tackles. So Sewell, Slater, Darrisaw, Jenkins, Cosme, those are my 5 tackles, in my opinion. I think all 5 of them are gone in the first. Then you got a bunch of other guys based off history. These guys come off the board pretty quick in the second round. So some of these guys that we like, that we think might be there in the third, they might not be there. And Dominique says Bolton and Browning are the most likely to fall to 44. Oh, I've been saying it the whole time. Parsons and Joker definitely aren't falling out of the top 20. Now, Collins, I don't know. People like his size, but if you yeah, thank you for catching that, Mendoza. But we see athletic linebackers fall all the time. So there's no guarantee that a guy like Jamin Davis, even though he has all the measurables, tape beats measurables at certain positions. And I think linebacker is one of those positions. So even though the media's in love with them and fans are in love with them, I'm not 100% certain the NFL might be as in love with him as we are. Because if you go back and look at his history, he's only started like 11 out of 33 games that he's been a part of at Kentucky. Like, let that sink in. He couldn't start more than a third of his games at Kentucky. There's something in his game that's missing, and those coaches see it, and maybe the NFL coaches see it as well. Potential only gets you so far at certain positions, and linebacker is one of those positions where you have to know how to play the position to be successful. And like Joe said, yeah, third round, you find gems as well. That's definitely true. And a lot of these times, like, we think people were not drafted the way they should have been. I think it's because we look at it on a year-to-year basis as fans, and we think, oh, this guy's a first, second round pick, and he falls to the fourth. And for us as fans, we think, well, he fell to us. But the history says that's where he's more than likely going to go anyway. Eric Berger sums it up pretty well. Premium positions: quarterback, tackle, edge, and corner. Throw the ball, protect the guy that throws it, rush the guy that throws it, and defend the guy that throws it. Yeah, definitely. That sums it up perfectly when you go back and look at these charts. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much all I have. I've been through just about everything that I could for this. You guys got any other topics you want to hit up before I get out of here? Let me know. Yeah, Cameron McGrone. That's another one of those guys. I think he'll probably be there third round just because linebackers tend to fall in the draft. And you look at this chart, you see at the linebacker position, it's pretty even between first and second round. So it's roughly about 4 guys in the first, roughly about 4 guys in the second. 3 to 4 guys in the second. And Queen, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, people definitely need to remember there's a difference between potential and actual gems. We can't get caught up in the combine hype. I said this on my podcast last week when people talk about Jamin Davis and Baron Browning. At the linebacker position, the difference between 4.4 and 4.5 is not a lot because their position is not really based on just flat out vertical speed. You got to look at the other measurables. You got to look at the tape. You got to look at the reaction time when it comes to diagnosing plays. That's way more important than having a linebacker that runs a 4.4 and a 40 whatever inch vertical. All right, guys, let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about before I get out of here. I've gone for 47 minutes. I'm here, so if you guys got anything else you want to hit up, let me know. If not, I have another podcast that I do every week. I'm gonna start trying to do this more. So hopefully you guys can hold me to that and make me more aware of it, and also just give me topics that I can talk about because I love doing research. So if there's something you guys want to know and you don't want to do the groundwork to find out about it, this is what I love to do in my free time. So we can definitely go through some stuff. I plan on in the next couple of weeks, there's a couple of gems that I like in terms of late round guys who I think will be good fits here, mainly at safety, offensive line, linebacker. So I'm going to do a few short episodes where I kind of go through some tape, tell you what I like about these guys, and then kind of point out some of the stuff that they have in terms of flaws that makes them probably fall to day 3. But for some of them, I think it's easily correctable. So there's definitely some gems at offensive line. Yeah, just like you said, J-Tuck. Parsons, he does look inconsistent. He makes up for it a lot with his athleticism. So that's one of those guys where you have to look at, because I'm a huge Parsons guy. If not for the fear of off the field stuff, I would probably take him over the corners. That's how much I like him. But you have to ask yourself, does he have the ability to process it? Or is it that the team is only asking him to do certain things and that's all he's doing? Charles Moffitt asked, am I going live for the draft? At this point, I really don't know. I've had a couple of people reach out to me to want me to do some stuff with them. I know the UK guys have a really big thing they have planned, so I may do some stuff with them. And for you guys that don't know, this stuff is difficult. Like putting this stuff together, I can research it all day, but trying to put it on charts to make it understandable and take it out of my head and put it on the screen for you guys to see, that can be more time consuming than the research. So sometimes I just enjoy talking about what I know on other people's stuff and not having to put it up here for you guys. And that's really one of the things that kind of stops me from doing this more consistently, because this stuff is time consuming and there's only so many hours in the day. But yeah, I'll probably do something. More than likely, it'll be more of a day 2 thing. Day 1, I'll either kick back and enjoy it myself, or I'll be on with somebody else. Day 3, it's kind of up in the air. But day 2, more than likely, you'll see myself in Lambeau doing something for the Cowboy Zone. All right, so before I go, I just want to let you guys know I do have a main podcast called The Cowboy Zone. My co-host, Lambeau, and I will be talking Cowboys topics every week. So tune in, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, 7:30 Central Standard Time. If you haven't done so already, make sure you follow me on Facebook, and Instagram and YouTube at Bluff City Cowboys. And also find me on Twitter at Bluff Cowboys. So if you guys, again, have any other topics, yeah, just let me know. And we can go through a few more things if you like. I can let you guys know a few of the guys that I'm probably going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks. Try to do a couple of videos to talk through them, let you guys be aware of them. If you follow the Cowboy Zone, you guys know I really like Cole Van Lanen, the offensive tackle for Wisconsin. You guys know I'm huge on Andre Cisco. He'll probably be a third round guy. I mean, fourth round guy, day 3 guy, but I'm really high on him. And there are a couple of guards I really like as well. Of course, I like my guy Royce Newman from Ole Miss. That's somebody I'll probably talk about. And Notre Dame has 4 offensive linemen coming out in this draft, which is ridiculous to have 4 guys off one team in a draft. And everybody knows Eichenberg, but you also have Hainsey, and you also have a guy named Creamer. And then they have another guy who's been kind of, and I forgot Aaron Banks. I'm sorry, Aaron Banks as well. But then they have a guy named Tommy Kramer, who's been kind of put in the back burner, and nobody really talks about him. And I think he'll be a good day 3 guy as well. All right, guys. So that's pretty much all I have. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. I know it's anywhere between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And for Joe in Italy, it's probably 9 or 10 p.m. for him. So I appreciate you guys checking me out on a Saturday afternoon, talk a little Cowboys football. And again, if you haven't done so already, make sure you share this, because we talked about some stuff that are misconceptions that people need to be aware of. I hope to see you guys this Thursday, 7:30 Central Standard Time for the Cowboy Zone. And again, I'm Marcus. Thank you guys for checking me out, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day, guys.